Welcome to the Hope for Healing Network. This is Cecily Henderson. Thank you for joining us in this safe space today. I am very excited to introduce my next guest. Everything that she is saying actually resonates with some of my experiences, and I don't get to talk about these subjects very often, so I'm really excited for her to tell her story and then what she does to help people. So, Sienna, welcome to the Hope for Healing Network.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here.
Well,
It's
it
an
is my
honor and
pleasure.
pleasure to be with you, my dear. Seriously.
You're just a lovely soul, and I am excited for you to just get right in there, tell people, get the word out of what you're doing, what you have, I guess, realized right through your experiences. So just start at the beginning, the things that kind of led you to where you are now.
Sure. The beginning. Oh, well, we could start at, we should really probably start at 16 years old because that's when I attempted suicide. And I ended up in a mental hospital. And that's where I had my first great awakening because I was kind of a little Jewish princess from the suburbs of Chicago, so kind of all about me. And there I was in a mental hospital with real people that were fighting for their psychic survival, that were having huge battles. A lot of them had entities, a lot of them had been severely abused. They had PTSD back in that day because I'm 78. So that was a long time ago. I was there in the 60s. It was pretty much, get medicated and just they didn't know what to do with those people. And I was shocked at the way that people were treated. That my roommate would come back from shock therapy crying and begging me to tell her name and this sort of thing. And it just woke me up. I used to sneak in the back and hide in the closet to hear some of my new friends, the patients, talk to their doctors. And I was just outraged at the lack of connection, of real understanding of soul to soul presence that is the healing, or the love that is the healing, that nothing was provided for these people. And I was deemed cured in 2 weeks because I just felt whatever my suicide was about was irrelevant, was minuscule compared to what I was seeing. It changed my life. Um, at that point, and I made a vow to the creator at that time and to myself that I would find answers, find out how to really heal these people and give them what they really need. Have you um, looked at that? What is it? The Gesundheit Institute and Patch Adams. You must know.
Ew.
Yes, that's one of my favorite movies in existence because he knew the secret of what heals people, and what the secret is love. It's just being there for people, and we're still a long, long way from that in the institutions. Um, okay, so back to me. So I did go forth from being psycho girl in the mental ward to becoming I got a master's degree in psychology, but I was going for one of those licenses, a PhD in it. But then I started to understand, and maybe people would be upset with me for saying this, I didn't want their licenses because it's bound to laws that I consider inhuman. One being that you can't love your patients. I mean, back then, I don't know now so much, but really, I mean, that was like a crime. If you got subjective with your patients, you were out of line. You could lose your license. And so I didn't want a license. So I've always been more in the alternative healing. I went ahead and got a master's degree, and then through a series of circumstances, became a primal therapist. I don't know if you've heard of that back in the day. Primal therapy with the scream therapy, where Arthur Janoff wrote the book, The Primal Scream. I still highly recommend that because he got right down to it, that we're caring core wounds from not being loved and often being very abused, not just not being loved, that are deeply buried in our bodies, in our psyches. And if we don't somehow process that wounding, then we're neurotic or psychotic for the rest of our lives. And instead of blah, 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 talking for 10 years and analyzing every piece of what's going on, although there's certainly a place for understanding and analysis, but this is you lay down, they would take no for an answer. They're directing you to your core wounds. And I was incubator baby, and the doctors told my mother back there in the 40s that she should go on a vacation because she had staph or strep. And so I didn't see my mother for like 3 months or something. And I was in an incubator, born into a bubble, fed antibiotics, right? No breastfeeding. And this has messed me up for the rest of my life. Uh, so I went back into that experience, and it's not intellectual, it's not the mind it's the body, allowing the body to and the soul to experience the truth of what that was like. And I I thought that was such a profound experience. That was another great awakening and life changing experience. I thought, oh, this is the cure for neuroses. Wrong. Then people may not like this either. I became a therapist at the Marin Center for Psychotherapy in San Rafael, California. And so now I was running the groups as well as going through my own therapy. And you weren't allowed to touch people. You have a whole room of, I mean, there were individual sessions too, but a whole room of people laying on the floor, screaming their guts out, kicking and screaming. And, it felt like Auschwitz to me. It was like, I just wanted to run around and at least, put my hand on someone's tummy or their cheek or bring some love into the equation. And so I started doing that. And so I got fired
Wow.
because it was a very patriarchal, you do it by the book. And I found out later that this is actually black magic. You can't just rip open these wounds, throw people into them with no love as a balance, and think they're going to get well. What they got is addicted to screaming and kicking. A lot of them, that's how they live their lives. And
I'm glad. Now, I don't mean to interrupt. I'm glad that you brought this point up too, because I've had, I know people that have done this therapy or that have tried this, and it's empowering, but it's like you're right. It's like, where is that love? Where is that love that you hold for yourself and for others? Because getting the anger out in an angry way is not always the best way. So thank you for bringing up that point.
you can get anger out as anger, but then the people you're working with, there's got to be love is the healer. Love is the healer. And there's not enough of it around. We have generational abuse, PTSD. We have a planet of people in PTSD now. What is that? Post traumatic stress. What is that? It's where you stuff the emotions, you dissociate, you leave the body. You can't inhabit your own life any longer. The pain is too great. And when the grandparents, maybe they were in World War I, and then you have, another generation, maybe they were in World War II, or they were in the Great Depression, but that's how old or they somehow, the father is beating the mother, um, or whatever. And it's a violent house, it's a scary house. There's no love there. And so, in order to survive, you have to shut down. And we have a soul. We're not just these bodies, these avatars. We have a soul. But the soul has certain principles for being present. And one of them is to be able to express the truth and to know the truth and be the truth. And this is forbidden in our culture and has been for thousands of years. And now I'm going to get super woo on you all, but I work with this day by day, and people need to know it that your pain and suffering is being harvested by the dark side, and there's a huge black market selling loosh. What is loosh? It's the energy of your pain and suffering. Who would need that? This would be the dark side, who have been predominantly in control of planet Earth for a very long time, because we've had light ages, we've had dark ages, and we've had neutral ages. And we've just come out of a dark age. Now we are in a forever golden light age of infinite expansion. But that only happened in this last year. So we've got a lot of damaged people. Now, the darkness feeds on the energy of humanity to live, because yes, these are off-world beings. These are Draco reptilians. These are the gray insectoids. There are other races. It started all the way back with the Abraxas. It's been going on for millions of years, and it's over. The creator has decreed it's the end of darkness. Why? He wanted a balance. Why did he create dark and light? For a balance. But the dark did not respect any boundaries or any balance. The greed, insatiable hunger for power and for loosh, uh, it's like constant craving. They can never be fulfilled. They're always on the hunt. And so he stopped it. Not to say it's really stopped yet, but it's been decreed that it will be stopped. And now, um, what people have to understand is that there is a lot of AI I mean, right now, what the dark side is pretty much wanting to do, and I know this is very shocking, and you may be horrified, and you may think I'm a maniac, but I need to say it anyway. The dark side, it either wants us all dead. They've done a really good job with the COVIDs, and they want another pandemic. They're not going to get it, but and they with the GMO foods, with the lack of nutrition, with the poisons, with having all healing be toxic medication, and it goes on and on. Everywhere we are being bombarded, and a lot of you know that by now. Why? Because they want us dead, or they want us serving them, or they want us to become AI robots. These and they have huge advanced alien technology, and the secret space program, which is running the show, because we have the political arena and all of the governments of the world, and above them are the operatives that have been serving these dark monsters for millions of years. Now that's ended. A lot of the top dark demons, they're gone. A lot of the dark portals where they draw their power are being shut, because Kimberly Ann Gogan of United Network News and other people around the world, and aliens and all kinds of beings that you'll never hear on the news, because that is completely controlled, either alternative or a regular news. And I hope this show doesn't get knocked off. But anyway, it's very, very controlled. You don't hear the truth, you're not going to know the truth, because the pharmaceuticals, all the media, they've all been serving. This is all about money, isn't it? All comes down to money, this incredible greed for money and power. Uh, and and so the secret space program, that's a whole series of interviews of what that is. They've been working with the aliens, the Germans, the Russians, the Americans, all over. They're working with aliens all over the multiverse, to create this nefarious, to take control of everything, turn everyone into slaves or robots, and feed on their negativity and own and have everything. And they've been out of control for a long, long time. And so, how do we resolve the situation? We become the light. It's a battle between light and darkness. And so, uh, how do we become the light? We process the darkness within us in a way that's non-harmful to others and ourselves. We get it out because it's in the body, it's in the cells, it's subatomic, it's in the DNA by now. Mind control, trauma-based mind control. We are under layers and layers of mind control programs to turn us into loose slaves. And it's, there's a lot to it. So I can't say it in an hour, but that's an overview. That's what I learned finally at the end. That, I mean, all the I learned so many forms of therapy. And I found that they limited people, like, oh, this is the solution. Here I'm tapping. Okay, that's going to cure everything. Oh, I'm screaming. Oh, that's going to cure everything. Oh, and the soul has an organic process from the mother, um, you know, the life force, the divine sacred life force has an intelligence, has some of its emotional intelligence, a great eternal wisdom. It knows how to heal itself. The body knows how to heal itself. The psyche, all it needs is safety. Why? In order to get out of sympathetic into parasympathetic, our nervous systems have been under uh, constant attack, and the amygdala creating fear, fear, fear. We're in fight or flight. We're fighting. We've learned to be in fight or flight or survival, which shuts down a lot of functions that and you can't heal when you're in the energetic. You have to have a safe place, a place that feels like home, or at least has the love of that you can trust, and then you can open, and then we can pull out of ourselves the memory, the stored memory and energetic of the traumas that we've carried and that our ancestors have carried, and that the dark essence that's breeding inside of us that creates disease on all planes of existence is feeding on that. It keeps it looping. They have AI techs, there's implants, there's chips, there's all kind of stuff where they
Yeah.
come in and they set us up as a loosh machine. And so it amplifies and exaggerates our core wounds to produce loosh. Now, a lot of this is being taken out as we speak, and it's been taken out incredibly by people like Kimberly Ann Gogan and the United Network Earth people. I have great love and respect for them because they are speaking truth. I don't know anywhere else that really is to this extent of what this battle is, and how it's going on, and how to heal ourselves, because we must, we are the answer. We are, our light creates waves, people, ripples, to take down this web, this false matrix, this artificial hologram that was created on top of organic life that we've been living. A lot of people say it's all a hologram. We're living. Well, we've moved out of the hologram now, but we have been in a false matrix that demands ego, not essence, that demands control and suppression of the truth. And it's also been very masculine, except for the dark feminine is very masculine. So I don't mean just men. It's been a dominator culture, a control for power culture. We are raised from children to obey authority. And we had the whole, our parents unconsciously were geared to um, break our souls, to make sure that we didn't end up as a soul. We ended up as an ego that's operating in the false illusion and in the lies, so that they could continue to harvest our loosh. And a little child that can't change his own diaper, can't feed himself, can't do anything, is completely a quadriplegic, um, uh, completely dependent on the parent, right? So the child learns in all crazy ways because the child's come from source. It doesn't have a mind, logical, cognitive mind, but it has instinct, right? Survival instinct. But it gets crazy notions. Children are incredibly narcissistic. It's all about me. If mommy and daddy are miserable, it's my fault. If mommy seems mean and angry and sad and doesn't hold me and doesn't love me, it's my fault. So it diminishes. It's constant, or I take in their energy. If I'm an indigo, or I'm a light worker, I'm a star seed, and I've come here on a higher mission, and I have healing powers and superpowers, I'll take in the pain and suffering of everyone around me because I can heal it, and then it'll be fine. But now I don't heal it. I take in all that negative energy, and I'm sick for most of my life, and I'm so weighed down, and I can't do anything. And nobody ever told me you need to release all the stuff you took in from mommy and daddy, because nobody says anything about it. I spend my life in oppression and pain and suffering because the primary imprint is the first, is in the womb, is birth, big one, first few months, huge. It gets lesser and less. It's the first couple of years when we have no ability to fight for ourselves other than screaming or crying, or we have no ability to defend ourselves. We have to obey, and we get trauma-based mind control to be part of this false matrix, and it's generational, where the cruelty of forcing our souls not to really be able to express our truth. No one wants to know it. You just obey. You become a mind control robot in your society, doing everything everybody wanted you to do to survive for the rest of your life. You're an autopilot. You don't know that the inner children inside of you are addicted to the dark demons that inhabit it, or you don't know anything about it. You're completely blocked off from it. And you're clinging to the values of a very sick and corrupt culture for dear death. You think because everyone told you that's what you were supposed to do. And it goes on and on and on. And people have lost the ability to just hold presence for one another, a loving presence.
Yeah. And
We
that's what
need
we
to.
taught. That's what we were talking about. And I'm sorry for interrupting. I'm
No,
just
please do. I
fascinated.
can go on
Yeah, I'm
forever.
fascinated listening to you that. Yeah, I mean, it does stem from childhood, and that all these pressures, right? The pressures that are put on us and the way that we are treated younger, and the remedy, which is what I love about what you're saying. The remedy is love, right? That is the key, the remedy to this, and to being able to let go of those experiences and those traumas is the love. And I know we were talking before about somebody that showed you that.
Yes. So I was, I went from, I was in psychoanalysis, I was in mental hospital, uh, and nothing, I was in primal, different things. And then I met Aisha Love, and she was a renegade. I was part of the Gestalt Fool theater family. This was back in, the summer of love, the hippie era. I was in San Francisco. I was in the Haight-Ashbury. I fled. I was thinking that would be because of everything coming out of the oracle. It sounded like this is the answer. I want to be part of that. So I went there and I met her, and she was a renowned psychic that a lot of people went to. And she came to a New Year's party and she read a tarot card for everybody. And I was like dazzled by her. And I went to stay with her. She invited me from time to time to this amazing, organic, beautiful house in the woods of Santa Cruz Mountains, and with this amazing indoor hot tub, and just beautiful. All things that little girl from suburbs of Chicago was like, oh, this was so wonderful. But she also took me on. She felt that well, it turned out it was, past life connection all the way back to Egypt. But in the beginning, she just was there for me. And I went and I also became a therapist, a primal therapist, and I had a 15-acre ranch, and people came and spent a month doing intensive retreat with me. And this is where she also showed me, like, wait a minute, what's going on here? This primal stuff, this people laying on mats screaming, like, no. And she showed me the black magic in that. And she also showed me that I was getting way ahead of myself, that I had not really healed myself, and now I was becoming the grand poobah therapist of primal therapy. And it resonated with me. I knew it was true. So at 30 years old, she was in Spain. She was living in a castle in Spain, Castellar de la Frontera. It's an amazing place. And I shut it all down. I was getting on TV and radio, and people were thinking I'm all this, and I felt like I was suffocating to death, and I needed to find another way. So I went and I did her intensive individuation therapy, where she was loving. She was authentic too. I mean, this could be tough love too, because I had a big old ego and a big old shadow that we tracked all the way back to Egypt. But and I didn't see that. Our shadows hide in our blind spots. We don't see them until we're shown, and then we can see them. So it wasn't just a lovey-dovey thing. It was real love. and she didn't, we found stuff inside me that I was sure, she'd kick me out and she'd throw me out, and she was still there. She hung in with me. I couldn't believe anybody would hang in with somebody who was that self-centered, and there's many shadows that I carried, but she did. And that's what changed everything. It
Wow.
wasn't, 9 to 5, or an hour, and she couldn't be intimate with me, in terms of really caring and really revealing herself, because that's also a no-no when you're a professional health worker. You can't break down and cry or scream, or say that you've just been beat up by your husband. I mean, you have to keep everything a secret, right? Everything. And this was just the opposite. This was a place of truth where you got, and she modeled it. She wasn't just talking the talk, she was walking the walk. That's what made the difference. I could
Wow.
see it. And I wanted nothing more than to be a woman like she was. And she was also really understood the nature of what had happened to the divine feminine. Now, maybe I should pause there because that's another huge topic. Because the
Well,
divine feminine is the healer of all of this, in men and women. It holds the healing, it holds the glue, it holds the wisdom and knowledge of how to heal the emotional being and the spiritual being. And it's been taken over by men and by women who have to wear the suits and pretend they're men. But she showed me the beautiful flow of the real energy and the real emotion and the real spirituality and the real sexuality. Another topic that we're not ever supposed to talk about if we're a professional and da. Um, and it just dazzled me. It was a jaw dropping. I was just in love with this divine feminine. I had a very angry mother who never could do any of the things I'm talking about. To me, it was like I was on a different planet watching this woman. And I was lucky enough I had a relation, we came and go, and we had our fallings out and our comings together, but she really never stopped supporting me until she died. It was 14 years ago, close to 20 now.
um,
Um, and it changed everything up because I got that. And I just realized I can't be her, but I just realized that being authentic in that way and being the love, holding a loving space for people would allow them that safety. And it has. And it, the natural process of healing is initiated, creating more of a midwife than a therapist, a know-it-all therapist. I'm so smart and I went to school, so I know everything and you know nothing. No, we're equals. I have problems. I don't pretend I'm that anymore. And it just lets people relax. And then it all comes out, what needs to come out. And it's such a huge burden lifted. And they come back into their body. And little by little, they dump their junk and see something beyond that is so much lighter, that is full of joy, that is full of love, that everyone wants to be, but it's almost gone extinct in the mainstream, shall we say?
yeah. Well, and to be able to trust having that authenticity from your mentor, who was your friend, this woman who showed you how to love, right? That love was the best healer.
Yes.
And by her being authentic, I'm sure it really helped you to be authentic yourself, right? Just coming from that example.
Yeah.
And I know that you're helping people and to be authentic with themselves, to find that love and clear any negative energy and go for positive energy, which is a beautiful thing. Yeah, I love that you're doing that and that you're following through with love.
Well, thank you. And I know you're doing the same, and you've gone through your own dark night of the soul for, I don't know how, I wouldn't want to reveal your personal information, but I love that you're speaking it from authentic, embodied experience in your own battle, and you come through it as being a being of love and a being of light. And I feel honored to be in your space here with what you're doing and what you're dedicated to, because you're modeling it too, aren't you?
I'm trying to do the best I can, but we all are, right? We all are trying to do
Yeah,
our
and,
best.
this perfect thing that we all got to do it. Forget the perfect thing. It's a mess, and sifting through what we had to swallow is messy. You know, we're all super sanitized. With our own bodies, with our feelings. Like that's what they taught us. To be afraid of the mess. You got to jump into the mess and come out the mess and just be human. Be human. This is what the dark side does not want us to be. This is how they lose the battle, is that we decide, no, no, I don't want to be an automaton. No, I don't want to be an AI. No, I don't want the superpowers because I can hook up with a million satellites and get this toy and do this and have this and have this and have and have and have and have and looking, oh, I'll have this and I'll be this and I'll have the car and I'll have the super sexy computers and I'll be able to out there the false matrix and seduction away from the self. But the joy of life is very simple, isn't it?
It
To be
is.
present, to be able to be present with others in a simple, loving way. People know that, when they're about to die, right? That's where most people figure it out. Jobs, the billionaire, Steve Jobs, the Apple guy, he's, he got cancer. And right on, at the end, he said, man, I got it totally wrong. I had everything. I'm a billionaire, and I got it totally wrong. I just wish for those beautiful moments of connection that I could have with and be a human being. And then he died. It was too late, and we need to get it sooner than on our deathbed.
Yeah, those are what beautiful words. I mean, that is a beautiful message that we all need to hear. Yeah, do it, live in the now and the present, and the love is about not just loving and serving others. We were talking about this, is about loving yourself and serving yourself as well and having that balance and finding that balance, I think is leads to a successful life.
Absolutely. Self-love, self-love. Everyone talks about self-love. Nobody knows well, I'm not saying nobody. Very few people know what that is. It was not in school curriculum, nor was it in the parenting manual to teach us to love ourselves. Shame and guilt were the main tools to, you know, uh, and they did a good job in making sure that we didn't love ourselves, that we didn't trust ourselves, that we didn't know ourselves, and we didn't like ourselves. As a matter of fact, we hated ourselves. Most people are addicted to self-sabotage. Mm. Well,
Wow.
you can become addicted to darkness is the only problem. When it's all you had, it was all they gave you. Just like if all they give you for your mental illness is a pill, you get addicted to the pills. Yeah, if all it is that you should be self-depreciating, that you should put yourself down, that you should be invalidating yourself because that's what mommy liked. The mother wound, when mommy didn't have a life that fulfilled her soul, she darn well, you better not have a life that fulfills your soul because it's going to be a mirror to mom that she blew it and just going to hurt her. And then she's not going to feed you. She's going to not be in a very bad mood. So you got to hide all of that, from mom. And so then that's your learning and your training. Okay, gotta hide all the light, gotta hide all the talent, gotta hide all the beauty, gotta hide all the wild woman, gotta hide all that sexual energy, for mom, And now, what are you gonna do? You're miserable. You're stuffing all your emotions. You're suppressing the truth of it. You can't step forward. And when you do all of this mind control, that they were very busy putting in, and that other beings made sure this is cultural, so they could feed on us for loosh. We have to be in pain and suffering, Roman, in the dark age that's ending. But this was the law, and if you didn't obey, you were killed or you were hurt or you had to obey. Now, if you had a wild soul, an old soul, and you're an indigo, star seed, light worker, you're getting other information in there, and you can find other alternative. they're the most targeted of anybody because they could blow the whistle on this whole thing and really shift it. Some of these
Interesting.
highly talented light workers are some of the most targeted individuals. Their life, you hear the story of their life and your jaw drops open. How are you even here? How did you even survive? Kind of like your story, actually. Your
Let's
story.
talk about light. I mean, what does that mean? Because a lot of people, they don't understand some of this terminology that you're saying. So what technically is a light worker?
Okay. Well, there are a lot of phony ones too out there, but the real ones, the indigos, for example, um, uh, have come in to this reality. They've been trained to help with tools for transition from a dark era into this light era that we're moving into. For the complete, they've been trained in alchemy. How do I move all of this darkness and abuse I got and the pain into light? And that's what light workers know how to do in their inner knowing. So they're highly targeted so that they're so traumatized they can't connect to themselves where that information is stored. But if they can be free to have it, then they are real adversaries to the dark side because they're going to liberate themselves and they're going to have the tools to help other people liberate themselves. And there are, I think that there are 30,000 indigos. I don't know if anyone's surveyed how many light workers are there. 30,000 and what, 9 billion people is not a lot. And but and most of them have been terribly abused, are suffering from extreme PTSD, are so far away from being a light worker, addicted to darkness. Even this can happen. You can be outside this reality, and go, I'm going to go in and save the day. But you get in. I don't know. I didn't read the fine print. I don't think any of us knew we were really getting into. This place has become so dark that it is a rough ride for light workers in here. But when you come together and find other light workers, and you start healing in that environment, and there's a number of authentic groups. There's the New Cage movement, the New Age movement that is a great deception of the light workers. There's a whole movement of false light and false gods and false archangels and all of this that they're trying to seduce us all into. Oh yes, we're the light, and they're really a lot of these the most well-known, million followers, influencers that everybody, oh, he's going to save us, oh, she's going to save us. They are being hosted by demons. What does that mean? You can go into a meeting with some of these people. I'm not going to name anybody, channelers. They can be big healers or big wise poobahs of some. And the ones that are getting the million hits because the collective has been controlled by the dark side, who are they letting to the top here? They're people that their groups are going to be harvested from Loosh. That because if you're there looking for someone else to save you, which we all are because they forced us into that savior program. That was the whole Piscean age, is we had to look outside ourselves for a savior. And so someone's talking the truth, someone's resonating with, and these are brilliant deceivers. These are cryptas. It's a long story. They're being hosted by very dark demons, often partly AI, yes, and they're dazzling. They can be gorgeous. They can, and everyone wants to be there. And those groups are sucking your energy. Those people, because you're there, like in worship kind of energy, and you're so great, I'm not. So your energy can be harvested in any worship sanctuary. And most of the ones at top, and this is religions too, sadly, are they've been hosted by dark aliens and demons, and they are eating our loosh. This is what a lot of the spiritual movement has become. So you have to be highly discerning. But a real light worker, a real indigo, is a very pure, at the core, they're very pure spirits who long for the light, whose only mission is to be the light and to help support the light, and nothing really stops them. A lot of them I work with, and their stories just blow my mind. I really don't know how these people have survived, but they are very divine beings. They're creator beings, and they do survive. Not all of them, but a lot of them. A lot of them are now coming into their own, and they're realizing they don't have to worship a savior, and they don't have to be the great poobah themselves. By just being the light, you are defeating darkness. The more of us, the more darkness we can defeat. And it's time just to take care of yourself and really do the self love thing, really get this junk out of you, get the demons out of you, get the past trauma out of you, return to yourself, realize you are golden, that you're beautiful, that you're not horrible. All these lies they told you, none of it's true. And be the light. Just be, live that love moment by moment. However, you can be poor, you can be in a wheelchair. It doesn't matter. You're doing what you came here to do by being the light. And that's all I found that really is worth living for, I guess.
Well, Sienna, thank you so much for your message of light and love today. And I appreciate all of those that have watched. Just know that you are loved here and that, you're not alone and we're here for you. And Sienna, thank you again for your message of love.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Of course. All right. I'm wishing everyone a wonderful day.
Okay.